everybody. Welcome to Eden+Fractal number 33. Today is Wednesday, January 18th. We're here just before 16 UTC with a bunch of amazing EOS community members. We've been hanging out for the past 20 minutes or so, talking about Africa and Europe and all sorts of interesting things. But we figured that we'd just start recording because we're going to break out into breakout rooms in like 3 or 4 minutes. So we got a lot of fun going on. I want to welcome everybody. Thanks for joining. I can show the consortium page to show the 3 topic proposals that we have for after the breakout rooms. But first, I'll just open it up and say hello. And if anybody wants to say hi or say a quick few words, then that would be cool.
Peace on Earth.
That's right. Peace on Earth. Absolutely. Well, which is maybe a good transition too, because Perry made the proposal for a topic, and I believe it's an actual proposal too, for that has the most votes right now, and I think it can help us create peace on Earth because it helped create decentralized media. So Perry can introduce that afterwards. Right now, I'll share my screen briefly just to show the consortium page. But everybody can check it out. I'll also share the link in the chat. This is the Eden+Fractal consortium page. You can see Perry's proposal here, proposal to assume editorial control of dNews.zone. So that's really exciting. Perry also shared a introduction in the Telegram chat, the Eden+Fractal Telegram chat, and he included a link of a timestamp from last week when he introduced it. So I'm looking forward to getting to that. Marco also shared a proposal, should the Eden+Fractal seek to align interests with Eden on EOS, which I also love as well. And then I also made a proposal, should we discuss the mission statement of Eden+Fractal as well, because we've had discussion for a while. So just to show it briefly, first, what we can perhaps expect after the breakout rooms. If anybody wants to still make any proposals or vote, then you still can. But anyway, I'll leave it at that. Anybody have any thoughts before we head into the breakout rooms? I guess not. That's all right. And it's good to see CAC back too. It's good to see a lot of people. CAC hasn't been here for a while, so it's great to see CAC. And also Shans hasn't been here for a while. Welcome back, Shans. And yeah, I'm excited to be here with everybody. Yeah, thanks, Shans. And we have 15 people here, so we'll have enough for 3 break rooms or 4. Let me see.
Room for 5.
It's actually 3 breakout rooms of 4 to 5 people each is what Zoom is telling me. And then that'll leave, because there's usually a couple latecomers who join a bit late. So that'll leave some space in case people join late, and that way they can still participate if they get here early enough. And with that, it is 16 UTC. So I think it's a good time to start now. Does anybody have anything you want to share first? If not, then I will go to the breakout rooms, and hope everybody has a great time. Hey, Pascal. Hey, everyone. Good to see you. Hope you enjoyed your holidays, Pascal.
Yeah, I just came back yesterday from Mexico, so I had a great time there.
Awesome. Glad to hear. Yeah. I just saw Sebastian just joined too, so I'm adding him into room 2. Yeah, great to see everybody. And yeah, Mexico sounds like a really cool place. Does anybody have any, I don't know, thoughts like to share? Or should we just jump right into sharing contributions?
Massive red candle.
Red candle? What, the price of EOS went down, you mean, or what?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I saw it was up a lot recently. It went from like 80 cents to $1.05 when I saw yesterday. I hadn't really seen the price at all for a while, so I was impressed with that. But anyway, I suppose we should get into it. Does anybody want to share their contributions first, or should I go first? I see Vlad pointed. Although when you point, it's difficult to tell who you're pointing at.
Go ahead, Dan. Is it the first
Up to
meeting
you.
since the year, or do we had meeting before?
No, this is the third one.
Okay, the third one. Okay.
Yeah, it's maybe something that I should announce in the very beginning. Maybe I should add a bit more, but we've had 2 meetings so far during the new year. And also I've been starting to curate some of the resources at edenfractal.com/32 for the 32nd meeting, /31 and so forth, and also in the Eden Fractal Telegram chat, of course. But we've had 2, and we've had a lot of really exciting progress over the past couple weeks. So I'd recommend you check out the 2 meetings or the summaries from the recaps from Lenny, or some of the summaries in the chats to catch up on it, or at some point we can talk about it later. Cool. So yeah, I'll go first, and I will share what I'm doing to help the community and stuff. It'll just take me a moment to get up. Okay. And here we go. Sorry for the delay. Okay, so speaking of the show notes and speaking of last week's meeting, I published a article, or like a show notes, at edenfractal.com/32 summarizing last week's meeting, where we discussed the MSIG. We're updating MSIG, so we can also discuss it later. And then Vlad and Tadas released new tool updates, which were really helpful. Thank you, Vlad. Patrick funded Eden Builders, Perry announced dNews integration, Eric launched Art+Fractal. So thanks, Eric. And I'm just kind of summarizing some of the main things here in the show notes. This is also kind of work in development, but I summarized some of the major news stories here and included some timestamps as well, and then also some related media. So these are all clickable links and people can scroll down. Still have to fix the formatting, but we got some timestamps here where people can see all the cool stuff that's going on without having to watch the full video and skip around. And then I also featured the new app improvements that Vlad made with Lenar, and then also that Tadas made as well. There are some really cool improvements that will make it a lot more helpful, or a lot easier to use and a lot more helpful for communities. Also included links to the Art+Fractal and Eric's work here, and wrote a little paragraph about each of these. dNews integration included some pictures with it too, and looking forward to discussing that. And then, yeah, there's much more here. I tried to keep it short, but just to include like some of the main top stories, funding from Patrick, and then some related media like from Election 5 and so forth, and town halls and Eden Fractal meetings. So I'm doing that every week. I published the video too on YouTube and shared it in some different channels. I also made an article about brainstorming. It's kind of a draft article just in the beginning about the Eden Fractal brainstorming sessions that Patrick has been hosting. So I started to write a little bit of an introductory text, and then I wrote some table of contents for suggested topics that we could talk about at yesterday's meeting. We wanted to talk about the MSIG update, but we talked about these other ones a little bit. And then I'm curating resources for the past ones as well. So that's a work in progress, but something that I think is great to highlight all the cool stuff that we're doing with the Eden Fractal brainstorming sessions. And you can check it out at edencreators.com/brainstorming. I also started curating a page with the mission, which I'll show in a bit. But yeah, there's lots of stuff there that I'll be curating past brainstorming sessions. I retweeted Patrick's tweet about it. And of course, I also participated in the event too. Patrick just released that. And so you can check out the video to learn about where we're at with updating the Eden Fractal MSIG. Thanks, Vlad, for making that proposal. And yeah, that was a really helpful time overall. I also co-hosted the weekly Fractal, the Art+Fractal, the FA art volunteer forum that Eric started out, because Eric wasn't able to be there for the whole time, so he asked me to co-host it. So there's like 10 people who are artists who were there or so, and we had a great meeting. People are learning to play these consensus games like Eden Fractal, or Eden+Fractal, or Fractally. So it's really cool getting to know people who aren't as familiar with EOS but love art and are using these. So I was happy to help co-host that. I also met with Vlad for a few hours, talking about lots of different things, mostly about a welcoming page, so that based on feedback from Perry and some other people, we can just have like a really simple introduction when people join these Eden Fractal meetings. Still also a draft article too, but basically has like kind of a guide or instructions or beginner's guide to how we play these Eden+Fractal games in the breakout rooms, how we do the agendas with topics, and then the itinerary and what are the requirements and FAQ and stuff like that. So I made some art too that I had some fun with about letting the games begin. And this is all open to feedback too if anyone wants to do it in a different way. But yeah, there's basically instructions, and over the next week or so, I'll be working on this more along with Vlad, and excited to share these introductions to help everyone understand what we're doing. I also participated in the Eden Fractal Update 4 with Vlad and Patrick and Das. that'll be coming out soon in the Antelope Workshop series. So we had a great discussion here. We spoke for about an hour updating the past few months. And then I also hosted I shared the 32nd Eden Town Hall, where we talked about the Eden election with 2 chief delegates, and it was a great call. There was like 15 people on the call. We spoke for like 3 hours. So I shared that in a tweet and shared in a bunch of chat channels. And then I also, so it was here's with Nathan and Patrick, 2 new chief delegates. And then I made some thumbnails about the 28th Fractal, the 28th Town Hall with Reiki and Leaf and a bunch of people. So shared that, kind of catching up on some older Town Hall videos. And then I also did a town hall this week where we had Joaquin from Haifa on, and also Joshua, who's a big fan of Haifa and Fractally, and also he's a CD. So that was a really cool conversation, and that'll be coming out this week, along with an article that I'm writing at edencreators.com/Haifa, and some old clips from the town hall that we did a couple months ago. So there's that. I also spoke a little bit on the Everything EOS fireside chat with Stefan about the Eden election, and I supported Jorge's work because I thought that Jorge's work was really helpful, and I felt like it was helpful to support him. I also wrote quite a bit to Stefan about potentially supporting Jorge more too, so I'll share more of that in the future. That was something I did. And then I also started to put together an article about the mission of Eden, starting to curate all the different things that we've been discussing in the Eden+Fractal and the Eden community about mission, so like Vlad's proposal, my proposal, Eric's feedback, Gabriel's proposal, and so forth. So there's all those different things. I've been going for kind of a while, so I'll wrap it up now. The last thing I did was just read all the chats closely, and then I made a proposal or a topic proposal to discuss the mission statement of Eden Fractal. But I voiced that I think we should discuss the other topics first, and that is that. So I'll wrap it up, and happy to answer any questions. And I will pass it on now. If anyone wants to go next, let me know. Oh, another thing that I did too was I spoke with CAC for a couple hours yesterday, and we were talking about how to improve the show notes and improve the websites and stuff like that. So thanks a lot, CAC. Really appreciate speaking with you and looking forward to collaborating more. And I suppose I'll pass it on to CAC.
Oh, great. Hello. Well, this past week I spoke with Dan, so that is a very, very high contribution. I participated in the town hall on Sunday, fireside chat on Wednesday, and let's see, what else have I done? Let's see. Keeping up with everything. I mean, I haven't been working on any projects or anything, just keeping up with the community, voting on the proposals and consortium. Yeah, well, I've done so much I can't even say anything. I mean, if you have any questions, just ask. Thank you.
Thanks, CAC. Yeah, I've been appreciating you've been sharing lots of helpful messages in the chats too, and for a long time too. You haven't been here for a while, so that also might be worthy of mentioning too, that you've been doing this consistently for several, I don't know, months since you've been here now.
What?
Oh, I was just saying that you've also been doing this for months too, so that might be something to add as well, because you haven't been here. How long has it been since you've been here, CAC? It's been like, what, 2 months now or something?
I think so, yes. I was busy doing other things, but now I'm free, but there's some pros and cons to that, but I know hopefully we can all work together and make this thing a success. All right. Thank you.
Sounds great. Thank you, CC. Would you like to pass it on to someone else?
Vlad.
Or is something you want to say there, Pascal?
No, go ahead, Vlad. I wanted to go, but go ahead.
Yeah. So last week been fairly busy. Quite a few meetings. So started with a meeting with Patrick. I made him a demo about the new fractal app that we are building. So walked him through the Figma. He gave some feedback. Yeah, Patrick wanted to see it because he donated 3,000 EOS. So now he's aware how his donation is being spent. Then with Jesse, had a similar call. We went through the Figma. He also gave some feedback. Then had a call with Dan, discussed different things. Then we also started a Notion page for Eden+Fractal, and I've been like exploring Notion. It's the first time I'm using it, but seems pretty useful, like a lot of functionalities that would be good to just it's like an entry point. If somebody comes to Eden+Fractal, we can point them to the Notion page, and then there they can find everything. But yeah, still exploring it. Then I've been thinking about different proposals. Created one proposal to change the multisig. And yesterday, I think we had this brainstorming session where we discussed it and made some changes to it. So I'm gonna propose it again, a new one. Then, yeah, I've been thinking about other proposals as well. Like, for example, just thinking if the Eden token was liquid, what would be the benefits and what would be the drawbacks. So one benefit could be that it assume that Eden+Fractal grows a lot, and so people could use the Eden token as an ad space, meaning that if you want to shield your project, you can buy Eden tokens. You set up a poll on consortium that you want to talk about your project, then you vote your poll on top, and that's yeah, your ad space. You can share your project to the community. Just an idea. Then I've been continuing with the contracts of the new app. Plan to finish them 1 week, 2 weeks, then begin with testing. And yesterday we also had a call with Matthias from Zeos, discussed the Zeos fractal and in general the situation with Zeos, and yeah, I think that's well, I think that's it. Oh, okay, yeah, we did the Eden+Fractal update as well, and I think that's it. Eric, would you like to go?
You muted, Eric.
muted.
My focus as usual is always on how do we take this good stuff we work here and use it somewhere, and not only test it with real people, but document it in a way that gets credibility to answer the question, how do we know this thing will work if we do it? Well, worked here, so should work for you. My focus on the Art Fractal, which is the test platform for rolling this out with real people, is all on training. So I trained some people on hosting and breakout rooms and got someone to host their first Zoom meeting. They're very excited. They go, holy crap, we can use this for lots of stuff. All right, yes, you can. So that was a little painful, but it worked out and I got good feedback. And then of course we had that meeting. Got a couple people from our community help. Dan helped out and got very good thank yous and reviews from people who went there. They had texted me and said, hey, I really like this, and by the way, Dan was wonderful, and what a great addition. The other thing is I realize that we need, for the stuff I'm doing with the Art Fractal, is we need to get really good at telling people that, and I can't be the one. rather than using the Dan approach where he tells everything and is so productive and wonderful, I'm trying to harness Dan to teach that to other people, but and to teach them basic storytelling. So we've just launched a storytelling workshop, which anybody can go to. It's today, 12 Pacific time. I don't know whether people be here because I haven't advertised it so much, but I'll be there at 12 to talk about storytelling and how do you do it. I was chief strategy officer for a performance marketing agency, so that's all we did was tell stories of all different kinds over all medias. Trying to get this documented. So we say, how do you know this works? So I started discussions on using one of our university methodologists. So I had lots of discussions on getting permission to get them involved. So I say, when I test the impact of consensus points on motivation, how do you do that? So I, get approval by somebody who makes that rock solid. So when it goes out in the public, they say, yeah, that's pretty good. Was at the Eden Town Hall meeting on Sunday. Also spent a lot of discussions about what we describe and how we do the Eden office within the Center for Governance within the Alien Worlds. So I've been working on the Notion webpage for that. And the part that I was asking about this week was, what do we say? Because we have an office there in the Center for Governance for Eden. So I had some discussions about that and some discussions about what the first workshop would be that the Center for Governance sponsors to talk to the Alien Worlds community, specifically the Planet Ike community, about governance. So with that, I'll pass that to Pascal.
All right. Thank you, Eric. Hi, everyone, and Happy New Year. As I was saying in the introduction, I just came back yesterday from the holidays. But during the holidays, I would do some works for the community. Basically, in 3 areas. One in the area of Eden, the new initiative started in the Eden Smart proxies to enforce the governance on EOS network. The second initiative is on how do we bring back a product that Eden members or EOS members can use. So I was looking during the holidays about the project we had before. I'll just post it here in case you want to know more about. Violet.garden. So we had this project on EOS community a while ago when we started the Fractally project. And this project were built for the Eden members, 400 members that we are today. And it was a social network. It's still working. And we could post every day what we are doing on this social network and then earn a reward and exchange this reward with EOS. So I was trying to find out how we can bring back this project on EOS so that members can use something daily and get a reward of what they are doing. It's content social network. It was well designed. It's the idea of a voice. And this project, we just left it like that, run from our hands. So how to bring it back is one of the things that I was trying to think of how to bring it back in the community so that we have one thing that we can be doing every day and then get rewarded for that, for the activity. The other thing that I finished before going to the holiday was on my own personal project, Tiagori. I believe in social networks. I believe in cross-community reward system. How can we take this idea of Fractally that we had and then launch it to another platform? So I started writing about it, and Tiagori is in the stage of forming a council. So I wrote about the council, formation of the council, how we'll be using the Fractally's framework to form a council that will be rewarding those that are bringing contents on Hive blockchain. Hive's already a social network. It's already working, and then we can leverage that to build a fractal governance. I reached out to Tadas Lenny and Dan to have some little bit inputs. Very, very interesting. So the council will be forming, if things go well, I'm looking forward to form the council by the next 3 to 4 weeks. And then by then the platform will be launched online. This council is going to work like we are doing in Eden+Fractal, fractal governance. We meet every week. We give power to those who are attending the meetings, and then they go and like the content that people are producing. So the content is going to be around Bitcoin, EOS, and Hive. Those are the 3 domains that we want to support in terms of content production. So that's it for me. I'll be open if there is any question. I will give the mic to one person is missing, right? Was it Victor? Yeah. I think he left. So
Yeah, he just left or lost connection or something. I know his internet was a bit buggy before. I just messaged him and said we just lost him and asked him if he wanted to join again. So hopefully he'll be able to join again momentarily. Well, does anybody have any questions for anybody here in the meantime? One thing I'm curious about, Pascal, is how you see like the, I suppose, relationship between Calgary and Violet Garden, because with Calgary, if I'm not mistaken, you're planning to use Hive in some way. So it seems like Hive and Violet Garden serve fairly similar purposes. So I'm wondering how you see that. Are you planning to use both of them or them for different purposes?
They are not linked directly. The idea of Violet Garden is to bring what we had already on EOS blockchain. I'm not directly involved. My attempt to propose it in the maybe next Eden elections is to support the initiative of this project, because it was working very well, and it was really the idea of voice. So while as a community we let it go, and then this project was founded on Pomelo. So that was one of, we are living. I've been too long in this in our communities for a long time. We are living a lot of projects that serve the community go away. We do that every time. So it was to say, how can we push this, especially onto delegates? Delegates they have to support people that are producing content, people that are doing the ordinary work, like ordinary members. So if we have 400 members as a community, and we are not serving them, so it's already there, it's working. How can we use it? Tiagore, it's my own initiative, but to use on Hive blockchain. Hive is already a social blockchain, social network, and then I want to use fractal governance on Hive. So it's already smart contracted. So I believe it would build a cross wall of exchange value. We will benefit, our community will benefit of that. And then people that are not inside EOS, they will discover that something's happening here. We are not just talking about technical things, but people are really creating content and then really get rewarded using the fractal governance. Tiagore is the initial idea of Fractally that Dan have left. It's the same, like social networks, fractal governance, and DeFi. So put it into one content, one platform that use a smart contract on Hive, which is already working, and then give it to content producer. So I don't know if I've answered the question, but I'm not directly involved in Violet Garden. I'm trying to see if we could, for the Eden community, we could leverage it, push it into cheap delegates. They are being paid. So why they are not? I would really love to see how we bring product to community members. That's the point of Violet Garden. It's already been paid. It was financed on Pomelo. There is $30,000, but it's there. Nobody's using. So.
Yeah, thanks for explaining, Pascal. That sounds, I'm sorry, what's that?
it's my reflection in terms of how we could use what we have already to give value to the token we have.
Cool. Yeah, that makes sense and sounds very interesting, exciting. So thank you for sharing. Two notes. One, it reminded me a bit of what Vlad was talking about. If there was a liquid token, then that could be a way that it could be value for people to allocate like attention on social media and stuff like that, and help people promote their work. And then secondly, I'm wondering, Pascal, have you looked much into BBS?
BBS? No, what was that?
Oh, okay. BBS.
ESP? The
No,
ESP initiative? Okay.
no, BBS. I'll share some links with you.
Okay.
It is a social media network that is built on EOS, and it's quite good. Like it's been being built for I think 3 years now, 2 or 3 years, and there's a great team behind it. It's actually founded by Eyal Herzog, who's the founder of Bancor, and he's a co-founder of Liquid Apps as well.
Okay.
And yeah, it's basically it's sort of similar to Hive, and I think it's a more evolved version, or like a more built version, a more developed version rather, of Violet Garden. I mean, it's got some differences, not the exact same, but it has a lot of the same features though, and it I think it's a great tool that the EOS community, Eden community, haven't really used to the fullest extent yet. But I actually started up a BBS called Eden Talk, and it's at edentalk.com. And I started up a couple months ago, and I haven't had a chance to like really further develop it, but I made some introductory posts and just figure out how it all worked. I'm looking here. I see CAC made some posts there too, and some people joined. So I'll share some links, and I recommend you join. I think it's also bbs.market. You can see a bunch of the other BBS, because it's kind of like a Reddit. There's lots of different sub BBSs, and then also bbsnetwork.io. And then also I have a little page at edencareers.com/BBS. So I'll share all those links with you so you can check them out. And I'm curious to hear what you think.
Okay, great. Thanks.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Glad if I can help in the discussion on how to what's the Eden token could look like if he has value in the market. I'll be also able to contribute if there is discussion around that. So I believe in what we are doing here every week is the only fractals, fractal governance that we are holding every week. Traditional, the Eden 1.0 is every three months, and we are doing this every week. So there's value there. So the Eden token has some value. So I will reload the market to let's get the market give value to this token. I don't really see the need if we cannot make the Eden token has value. But it has value. I see the value.
Yeah, it has concrete utility as well. Like it is being used to community members so that community members could pick what they're discussing. I think that's a significant utility.
Great work, great work.
Did Victor reply?
He has not replied.
I think he's left.
So
okay.
Yeah, my suggestion, if he doesn't reply or join back, would be we know his EOS account, so I think he's here for a lot of it, so he can be level 1. And if he joins back, then he can share his contributions, and then we can take it from there. Cool. Well, does anybody have any other questions or thoughts for anybody? Or should we proceed into reaching consensus about contributions and respect? I guess it seems like everybody's super quiet today. I guess that means we should just go into respect, contributions, consensus. While Eric's over here having a good time.
Well, I'm usually busy taking notes, so when everyone's talking, I'm taking notes. I'm just pausing over Pascal's because I'm not sure I understand it to its full value yet. I understand the basic value, but
Okay, cool. Well, yeah, I don't know, Pascal, you want to, I mean, you shared that one link. I think there's some other links that you shared with me previously too. So I don't know if there are more links in addition. Although I suppose Eric can just read that when he has more time later on as well. Or if you want to ask any questions, then we still have like, I guess 20 minutes to reach consensus, 23 minutes. So I guess we should get going pretty soon. So
Yeah, I mostly support the Eden the work going direct to dNews.Fractal. So other works, I really make a difference between direct contribution to dNews.Fractal versus contributing to EOS in whole. So I really value the work that members do that goes direct to dNews.Fractal, because that's what the Eden token we are allocating is going for. So that's all my point.
Sounds good. Well, thanks, Pascal. I really appreciate you focusing on helping dNews.Fractal. And there's a lot of great ideas there that I'm excited to explore further. And I'm really excited about the progress with the Algo V2 and your explorations of Violet Garden. I also thought Violet Garden was an awesome app too. I mean, John, the developer, stopped developing as far as I understand because of he went to the Fractally team. And I think they're still building it with Sidebase, but I don't really know. But I think that the whole idea of like incentivize and Web3 decentralized social media where people can earn rewards by making helpful content, that's incredibly helpful for everybody. So thank you. All right, is everybody ready to choose level 6? If so, thumbs up.
ready.
Okay, cool. And we can go in 3, 2, 1, and go. All right, it looks like Vlad has 2, Chris has 1, and I have 2. So we'll have to reach some consensus here. Chris is CAC, so CAC voted for Vlad, I voted for Vlad, and Vlad voted for Chris, and then Pascal and Eric voted for me.
Well, I got a vote, so I suggest everybody change your vote to me so we can just get this over with.
Very good. Now I'll change my vote for Vlad, if you don't mind that.
Okay, I'm good with that because I was torn between Dan and Vlad anyway. So I'll be happy to go to Vlad.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I was happy to vote for Vlad too. Vlad, I mean, both the development work that Vlad is doing with the new interface, and then also, in addition to the tech development work, I really appreciate the leadership role that Vlad's been inhibiting or being like he's sharing some really inspiring messages during the update and the brainstorming session, especially the update when he was summarizing it, and our conversation was really awesome. So thanks, Vlad, for both all the work that you're doing to build and then also all the leadership and guidance and cool stuff that you're sharing and speaking about.
Well, and among other things, I just really appreciate the work, Dan, that you're doing with the art fractal, and I look forward to getting Vlad's interface in there. You know, after we get people used to train, so so you two are both some of my favorite people right now because I see an impact on rolling this out to the rest of the world.
Well, thanks, Eric. You're one of my favorite people too, and as are Pascal and CAC too. I think we're all doing really helpful work to roll it out, and especially what you're doing with the art fractal. I think it's super, super awesome. So thank you. Okay, cool. So we have consensus on Vlad at 5, or we're at Vlad at 6 rather, and now we can go on to level 5. So, okay. Is everybody ready for level 5? Okay, 3, 2, 1, and go. Okay, it looks like I have 3, Eric has 1, and Chris has 1. Chris voted for me, and I voted for Eric, and Vlad voted for Chris. Anyway, we find it necessary to read it all out. I voted for Eric because, as I was saying, I think that what Eric is doing with the art fractal, I mean, it's amazing to see people who don't know much about EOS and don't know about blockchain, and who are artists but are learning these. So I have like so much respect for what Eric is doing there. I also really appreciate what CSC is doing too. So
I changed my vote. Oh no, now this guy changed his vote.
okay. So where are we at then right now? Vlad changed to me and you changed to you, is that correct?
Seems so.
Okay. So that means that
Can we get on with this?
yeah, let's get on with it. Okay. So but where are we at then? Do we have consensus on anybody? Because right now I have 3, or do I have 4? Or
I think you have 4. I think Vlad changed to Dan.
okay. I think I had 3, but because CAC voted for himself, now I only have 3 again because CAC originally voted for me. I'm happy to change my vote for myself, I guess, just to get on with it and make it go well. I also really appreciate what CAC is doing too, and I can speak more to that. But I suppose I'll just, if nobody has any further comments, I'll heed CAC's advice and vote for myself.
Okay. Do you have anything to say about what CAC is doing? What Chris is doing? Because the notes he talked about speaking with Dan, the town hall, and the fireside chat.
And other top secret stuff.
Which I'm not saying is not, I'm just saying.
You're saying what? Just asking for more clarification of what CAC is doing, or what?
Yeah, because you just made an advocation for.
Hey, if he's
CAC.
advocating for me, if Dan's advocating for me, he can speak to it.
Yeah, well, I'll advocate for CAC then,
That's
and I'll further explain. So and CAC, feel free to also share. But I think what CAC is doing in the Eden community is really helpful. And I've been really appreciating, even though CAC hasn't been able to join the meetings for the past 2 months or so. And we go back and he's provided a lot of value throughout several months since we know each other, and then over the past couple months, especially, I've seen him post a lot of like really insightful and thoughtful and helpful messages in the Eden members chat. So I appreciate that. He's also been on many of the town halls and participated and shared thoughts. He also hosted a town hall a couple weeks ago. It was also great speaking with him too. Yesterday we spoke for over 2 hours, and we're working on collaborating to make better show notes and make better videos and all sorts of different things like that. So yeah, CC's awesome, and he's also got some funny stuff to share a lot too. So he can lighten the room. So I think that CC's a really great contributor to the room. So it's difficult. I mean, I was voting for Eric because Eric with the art fractal and everything, but I'd also be happy to vote for CHC too. And I was also saying that I was willing to change my vote to myself.
Oh, don't
make it go
vote for
quick,
me.
but I'm also
Don't vote for me. Level 5.
okay. Okay, sounds good. So I suppose I can vote for myself for level 5, or does anybody have any other thoughts here? I'm happy to go either way, really. I really appreciate everything everybody's doing here. So it's difficult to choose, but that's the game.
Dan for level 5.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate it. All right, is everybody ready for level 4?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, 3, 2, 1, and go. And it looks like Eric has 3, Pascal has 1, and Chris has 1. So, or rather, Chris has 2 now. So Chris has 2, Eric has 2, and Pascal has 1. It looks like today we're not going to have any, or not many easy ones. Well, would anybody like to share why they voted for who they voted for? I know Vlad's been voting for CAC the whole time too, so I'd be curious to hear. I think Vlad voted for CAC at number 6, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Is that correct? And what do you think about it, Vlad?
I think he's trolling.
No, I'm glad you're back.
Yeah, I
think
voted for
I
Eric
think
because of the work that he's doing, the artwork. He's been trying to bring to the art community valuable things. So in my mind, it's not coming clear, but now I see that there's something there, and then he's been consistent on what he's doing, especially in the training, bringing people up to date. So that's why I voted for Eric. So I really appreciate his work, and then he's committed to the Eden+Fractal also.
Yeah, and the key is art is just the community to launch it because it's easier to spread. But yeah, it's not just art. That's just an easy one to spread first because it can go viral fast.
Well, thanks for sharing your thoughts, Pascal and Eric. Welcome back, Victor, as well. I'm glad you could join back. I think it'd be best if, Victor, if you want to share your contributions. But first, I think Vlad was just saying something. I don't know if you're finished or you want to say more about CAC there. And did you want to add more to what you're saying there, Vlad, first?
I think those participants who haven't participated in a long time, it's good to reward them highly when they come back, to signal that they are welcome and to encourage them to participate again.
Good point. Thanks, Vlad. And Victor, would you like to share? Sorry, you got the internet off, but you're happy you could join again. Do you want to share, or CAC, you saying something?
Hello,
no,
guys.
No.
Okay.
Guys, how are you? I'm sorry for leaving. I just got offline call. Yeah, and okay, so participation. What I can talk about is me right now. I'm a person that is listening in to people's contributions and try to see how it's going, so that next time when I get an opportunity to participate individually, if it is my time, I think I will participate. Yeah, but right now I'm still following up because I've been having challenges with internet, though I've been in Eden for a long time, but I've had challenges with internet. So I'll be following up more and more so that I can make my personal contributions. But I always I tweet, like content of every at least EOS content on Twitter. Yeah, that is what I do for the community. And hopefully I'll do more and more. Yeah, that is what I can say for now.
Sounds great. Thank you very much, Victor. I remember last time too that we met, didn't you say that you work with a couple different organizations? I think maybe you said EOS Nation and EOSBs. Is that correct?
I used to work with EOSBs and EOS Nation. I no longer work with them. But I think I will start working with EOS Respect.
Sounds great.
Yeah,
Well,
I've not engaged myself in so much work with them, but I think probably next week or the couple of weeks to come, yeah, when my opportunity comes, I'll add on to the community more and more. Plus, I was also working with Kufai US microloan. I told you last time. Yeah.
Yeah, well, thank you very much, Victor. I really appreciate all the work that you're doing in the community. And it was great speaking with you before too. It's really cool to hear from your perspective and hear about all the cool things you're doing. So thanks so much. And looking forward to collaborating more. All right, so shall we get back? How about we do another vote for level 4? Because I think we
Oh,
didn't
thank you.
quite have consensus. Unless anybody has any questions or comments for Victor first.
Questions?
I don't think so. And we only have less than 10 minutes left to reach consensus. So I think unless anybody has any questions that you want to ask quickly, then it's probably best for us to go on to reach consensus. And Victor, by the way, we reached consensus on level 5 and level 6. So Vlad was level 6, I was level 5, and now there is yourself, CAC, Pascal, and Eric, who we're voting on for who will be level 4, 3, 2, and 1.
Okay.
Okay, cool. So how about we redo level 4? And is everybody ready to submit your vote for level 4? We got some thumbs up. Looks like we got some nods. Okay, cool. And 3, 2, 1, and go. Okay. We're getting lots of switch votes here, I think. CAC keeps switching it. So what do we have? Do we have 3 and 3 between Eric and CAC now?
No, I think Eric got the consensus. MC 1, 2.
I think there's 3 and 3 because I also switched my vote to CAC, partially on Vlad's words, and then I see CAC voted for himself and Vlad voted for CAC, and then Eric, we got Eric, Victor. Okay,
Oh,
CAC voted for Eric.
just pick Eric.
Okay.
Let's just not drag this on.
Okay, sounds good. We'll go with Eric at level 4. Is everybody ready for level 3? If so, 3, 2, 1, and go. And we have 2 for Pascal and 4 for CAC. So I think that's consensus for CAC.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And we can go on to level 2. Is everybody ready for level 2? 3, 2, 1, and go. Okay, and Pascal has consensus here. And then that means that level 1 is Victor. So we have consensus on respect, contributions. Thanks so much, everybody. Especially, I kind of advocated for Vlad, CAC, and Eric a little bit, but I could also advocate a lot for what Pascal and Victor are doing. I'll refrain from doing so because we have to reach consensus on a delegate within the next 5 minutes or so. But I really appreciate the work that both you guys are doing. So thanks so much. Who's interested? Well, does anybody have any comments first, or should we go into delegates? And if so, who's interested in being a delegate? And CAC also wrote post account names. So, Vlad will share the link. He's using Tadas's new tool, I think. That makes it very easy to post consensus without getting confused. For anybody who's not familiar, Tadas released a new tool that makes it so that one person can share a link that has the consensus results pre-filled in. So we don't all have to type it, just one person can type in and share the link with everybody.
Yep.
All right. And now, as far as delegates, who is interested in being a delegate? I think I'm interested in being a delegate. I think my term is going to end in maybe this week or next week. So I'd like to be a delegate, but I'm going to open up the spreadsheet as well to see exactly who is a delegate and how much time there is. Is anybody else interested in becoming a delegate?
I am. but I would like to see other people being delegates as well. So for example, if Chris, do you want to be a delegate?
I'll set this one out. I'm back, so I'd rather see how this works before
Okay.
I run.
Okay, well, I just shared the link to the spreadsheet where you can see who the delegates are. So Eric was elected a delegate in Council 13. We're electing Council 15 right now. And Vlad's not a delegate either. I thought that Vlad was a delegate currently. And then I was elected a delegate in Council 12. So I'm still a delegate for this week, and mine will end in next week. And Vlad is not a delegate, Eric is a delegate, Pascal is not a delegate, and Victor's not a delegate. So I'd also be happy to vote for Vlad too, being that Vlad's not a delegate, and I think it makes sense. Like Vlad's, it makes sense to have people. Vlad's been at every meeting, and he knows what we're doing very well, perhaps better than anybody else. So I think Vlad's a great selection as a delegate. I'm curious to see if Pascal or Victor are being a delegate, or interested in being a delegate as well. Are you guys interested?
No.
Yeah, yes, I would be interested, but I think I need to have consistency. Maybe later on I can see if I can be one. Thank you.
Cool. Sounds great. Thank you, Victor.
I will
Pascal?
support Eric. I will support Eric since he has been also consistent. So maybe I will support Eric's proposition.
Well, is Eric interested in being a delegate?
Well, yeah, but sure, but I you know, but I see Vlad's contribution and yours, so.
But what about you, Pascal? Would you like to be?
Yeah, if it's open, I will go. I will take it. I have to go through the propositions that are available now. Read most of them so that I have a valuable contribution there. So yeah, I'm open.
Okay. Well, yeah, I'd be happy to support either Vlad or Pascal. Just a question for you, Pascal. Do you plan and intend to be here for the next 4 weeks? And would you be able to be in the breakout room, be in the hour after the breakout rooms for the next 4 weeks, and be able to review proposals?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, yeah, I'm happy either way. I mean, Vlad kind of mentioned that he'd be happy to have other people be delegates too. So what are we leaning to Pascal here, or maybe have any thoughts about this?
Let's vote.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, and it looks like we have consensus on Pascal as delegate. So thank you very much, Pascal.
Thanks, everyone.
So the link that I shared contains all the fields are pre-filled.
Okay, you can fill it and copy paste. Wow, Vlad, that's awesome.
That's
Yes,
Tadas's
awesome.
Wow,
feature.
plus one Eden token.
Yeah, Tadas built that feature, and then Vlad and Lenar built the new cool looking interface. When you open it up, it's got stars and everything. So that one's really cool as well. We got a big upgrade with the tools last week.
Wow, that's great.
Yes, I agree. Okay, cool. Well, I'll hit the room to start closing the breakout room, and it'll end in a minute. And yeah, thanks so much everybody for the great meeting. This was fun and awesome to hear everybody's contributions and spend the time with you.
Good, thanks everyone.
Hi
All right.
guys.
Hey, Sebastian. Good to see you. Glad you could make it. Welcome back, everybody. Hope you all enjoyed your breakout rooms and enjoyed the Eden+Fractal experience. We have, I believe, 3 topics on the agenda today on consortium. I'll double check it and share the link to see if anything else has changed. The last time we checked, Perry's proposal was first. So if that's still the same, then in a few moments or a few minutes, then Perry can introduce that proposal and then we can consider it. But first, I suppose we can just leave it open for a few minutes in case anybody wants to share any first thoughts or reflections on your room or anything like that. And I suppose we can start with Perry's proposal in 5 minutes, unless we wanted it sooner. But if anybody has any ideas first, then now's a good time to share it. Hey, Patrick.
Yeah, hello. So as you know, I have give 2,000 EOS for the, as promised last time, for the MSIG rewards for EOS, Eden Respect and NFTs, 2,000 EOS. And also, as I am sponsoring that in a way, I will decide and I will do a proposal for that with Vlad, Surly, because we are aligned on that. And we were discussing of that on Eden+Fractal brainstorming session just yesterday. That and that is recorded, by the way, and published and swarmed into my morning at 6 a.m. in my morning today. So I have decided, and we have decided indeed, some funds, the rewards will go also to the proposals proposer when a proposal is passing. Because consortium, Vlad, will do in order that when a proposal pass, that sends directly the funds. That's what is expected to happen later on. So I am very happy that the funds will not only serve the breakout room, but will serve also for the proposal that are passed, because the guys that are doing good proposal deserve to be rewarded. That's what I want. And that's all. Thank you.
Sounds great. Thank you so much, Patrick, for supporting the community and our developers. Really very much appreciate it. A couple of things I'll add too here before we get to Perry's proposal. For one thing, we met for an Eden+Fractal brainstorming session yesterday that Patrick organized and I co-hosted, and I was speaking with CAC and Vlad Dadas there, and we continued our conversation. So for anybody who wasn't here last week, the main topic of discussion that we focused on for this hour was changing the MSIG for the Eden.Fractal account. And so Patrick just released that on the Nova Crypto YouTube channel and also a tweet and in the Eden+Fractal Telegram chat. So I'll share some links there and recommend people to check it out. If anybody's interested in being in the MSIG and didn't express that last week, then please feel free to let us know. We had some new ideas yesterday about creating a custom permission and so forth. So we're probably going to take another couple of days or another week, and maybe next week we'll have a more firm proposal about what to do with the MSIG. But if anybody's interested in helping out with that, then please feel free to reach out. And if you want to just see what we're talking about and see what we're discussing, then you can check out the Eden+Fractal meeting from last week, as well as the Eden+Fractal brainstorming session from yesterday. I'll work on sharing those links in the chat. And then also, one other thing that I'll mention too is for anybody who hasn't been here, I realize that something that's probably good to do, and maybe at the beginning of the meetings for the moderator or the host and here, is to just give a little bit of update on the past meetings. So a couple of places where people can see great recaps. For one thing, Lenny makes great recaps every week where he shares a lot of the updates in like a short format. So you can check out that. I'll share the link to the Eden+Fractal Eden+Fractal recaps Telegram channel where you can see that. I've also been doing show notes at edenfractal.com/32 or 29 or whatever is the meeting. So you can check out edenfractal.com/32 for the last meeting. And also you can join the Eden+Fractal Telegram group as well. So I encourage anybody to join there as well. And I see Jorge has his hands up. So hey, Jorge.
Hey, real quick, is everybody from room two already voted?
Yeah, I voted. There was a problem with the caps, large caps and small caps in the name of
You submit your consensus, Gabriel?
Yeah, mine seemed to go through fine.
Okay. And Chance and yourself, everything good?
Yeah, it's good. It went through.
Perfect. Thank you.
Fantastic.
Okay.
Just to remind, we have made a precedent into the fourth brainstorming session. We have used exactly the clarification phase round. Then we have made exactly the second step, that's the reaction. And then we have made the objection, and we have followed exactly that. And that was very helpful. I will just say thank you to Gabriel to have mentioned that into other episodes, sociocracy. And we have followed that during the brainstorming session, because that's the place to go into the how of the proposal, and here it's to more vote and signaling proposals. Just thank you. If you watch the episode, you will see that was very smooth, and that was 1 hour committed.
Yeah, I just listened to it before.
And to
joined
Lenny,
the
I have
meeting.
not cut anything during the brainstorming session, because I know you. Sometimes you think that we are cutting, and we were not cutting anything.
You're allowed to cut. Depends on circumstances and what kind of event.
Exactly. Nothing cut. All is have the balls to share. That's okay.
Great. Well, yeah, it went really well. So thanks again so much, Patrick. And I'm glad you enjoyed it. Thanks for the feedback, Sebastian and Lenny. And also thanks, Gabriel, for introducing us to the sociocratic governance guide or method, rather. And people can check out, I believe there's a 30th Eden+Fractal meeting where we discuss that in detail. And that's also the method that we're using to discuss proposals. So we can do that today. After Perry shares his proposal, first we'll go through a round of clarification to see if we all understand Perry's proposal, and then we'll get into the other steps like reactions and potential objections and so forth. But with that, I think it's a good time to pass it on to Perry. So Perry, are you ready to introduce your proposal about dNews and Eden+Fractal to the community?
Absolutely. Thank you, Dan. Before I step into that, if I could, if it's okay, if I could just get a quick peek of Ucell and Chance, just so I know who I'm talking to. Is it, do you guys have it? Uh-oh, where'd you go? Ucell. Chance, hello Chance, how are you? handsome man. And then Ucell, do I get a quick peek at Ucell just to see who I'm talking to? No? He's out to lunch? Okay. Well, I'll continue on with dNews. You guys, most of you are probably familiar with dNews, but I'll just make a brief introduction of it, in a very brief history. dNews is my website that I've created that aggregates the events and publishings of the different contributors to our ecosystem. So people who are publishing YouTube videos, Medium articles, their own blog posts, Spotify podcasts, could be on Rumble, it could be on Odyssey, it could be any number of those. I bring them all together on one website to make it really easy to consume for the user, saving them time. So I'm not actually creating any content there. What I'm doing is I'm making it easier and more convenient for people to consume all of the information, because I know it's very difficult. The brief history of that is that I created that a few years ago to keep track of EOS. And I had been observing, without telling anybody, what's going on in the ecosystem, and saving my own time and giving myself kind of an advantage over everybody by creating this own tool. I then took it and I decided to shift it towards Ethereum for some period. It was less than a year, but I shifted it towards Ethereum, and I began to group things in terms of funds and different parts of the ecosystem, and I kind of went a different direction on that. And then I decided, well, I think I'm going to bring it back to EOS, and that's when you guys saw it in the summer. This last summer, and I've been running it for the community up to this point, just as is. I've been creating it. This last election, I was elected a level 1 delegate. And so now I'm getting a little bit of funds every month. One of my platforms, planks, one of the two parts of my platform was to support and compensate myself for that contribution, as well as my other plank was to support the idea of the ESPX proxy. Those are the two parts. I was very clear about that. And and that I would also, and this is important, that I would also further the idea of decentralizing the editorial control of dNews and further that experiment. Well, that commitment has brought me here. I've chosen this group. I've chosen you guys to try to create what I understand is the first attempt to decentralize editorial control of a media asset, blockchain based. I don't know if it happens anywhere else. If anybody else knows where that happens, I would love to hear that. I would love to research that, and maybe we could use that to get feedback and use that as a model of somehow. But to my knowledge, this is the first. And I think that would be a significant step for this group, for the EOS community in general, the EOS.io community, and frankly, for society in general. This is the perfect timing for all of that, given what's happening on Twitter and our society in general. And I think it's an opportunity that I want to take advantage of. So what does that mean today for us here? What am I specifically suggesting? Well, the way dNews is constructed, it's really a matter of publishing sources, specific sources to specific playlists or specific YouTube accounts.
Real quick, Perry,
yes.
Would you mind sharing your screen, showing us, like showcasing the traits of dNews?
Oh God.
I've got that ready to go, by the way, too. So Perry, if you don't want to do that, then I was planning to do that after you finish speaking.
I would love for you to do that. I've never shared my screen on Zoom, and I have got like a phobia of people seeing all of the links and tabs of what I engage in. It just bothers me.
No, but
you will do that perfectly. You will do that perfectly.
What's that? I'm sorry, Jorge?
Assume you can choose exactly which window to share. So you can just share the dNews site.
You're exactly right, but I haven't practiced that. I don't want to put that on a YouTube video.
Dan is the master. Dan is the master.
You can do a screenshot.
So yeah, if
or maybe
if Dan, if you want to take over the screen and follow along and do that, feel free to.
Yes.
I'll post links here. So
sure.
I'll post links here.
I have put in the chat also dnews.zone. Yeah.
Sounds
and
great.
by the way, I have raised my hand. So just want to say as context before that Dan do the nice presentation and all. I use dnews.zone since day one with Perry, and you have a lot of video there published. And what I love, before that you share, Dan, what I love particularly into dnews.zone is the calendar. Then you have also the
Patrick, if you don't mind, if I could finish.
Yeah, Patrick, right now it's not really time for reaction. Let's save that for later. And also remind everybody too, please do raise your hand, and also please do wait to be called upon too, because there are a few times that we are speaking over each other. So please raise your hand, and then I'll call on you. I mean, we can have it, somewhat casual, but we were speaking over each other too much there, and we want to give Perry the time to be able to give his proposal. I appreciate Jorge asking about sharing the screen. So I'm happy to share the screen whenever you'd like, Perry. If you'd like me to start sharing it now and go through it while you're talking, then I'd be happy to do that. Or if you'd like, then I can wait till after you do it. Do you have a preference?
No, I think that's totally fine. That's totally fine. Go for it. Take it away. Take it away.
Okay. And just by the way, Perry, I forgot to mention too, but you have approximately 5 minutes total. I mean, if you go a bit over, that's okay, but just try to share your full presentation in about 5 minutes, if that's possible.
I'll try to wrap it up real quick.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so I'm not sure exactly where I was, but I think I was explaining the I'll shift to what is actually involved in it, what it means for this group to take on that proposal. It's very little work for this group. It's a matter of deciding what is acceptable, what is the whitelist for those publishing sources and events for that matter, and what is the blacklist? What are we not? What are we saying we definitely don't want? Or please take this one down. It's like a takedown request. So I've set up a spreadsheet for that. At the moment, thank you. There it is right there. Now this is a kind of different. It's similar to what I have when you click on suggest now, and I offer a Google form, and it allows people to submit it via Google form. This is a separate list that would be specific to this group. If you chose, it's very similar. It basically captures the same information, but it also has a blacklist tab at the bottom, which is a separate list of ones that you want to negate. So the idea would be that the Eden+Fractal delegates would decide every week if they want to add something to the whitelist, if they want to add something to the blacklist, and that's it. And my job is to keep these things in harmony. My job is to keep the dnews.zone website in harmony with that list. If you refresh it one more time, it'll fix the tabs. Yeah, just refresh it one more time.
Refresh it.
Yeah, there
right here.
Yeah, I'm not sure why the tabs aren't working correctly, but so that's the idea. And before one of the last things, I want to address a very good question that Lenny posed in the breakout room, which is, Perry, this agreement is for 3 months. So what happens after 3 months? Does dNews disappear, right? And the answer is no. dNews was here before I was funded by Eden on EOS as level 1 delegate, and it will continue if I am not elected to any level on Eden on EOS. It will continue. What will discontinue is the editing role that you guys are voting on today. So I'm saying I'm being paid for that now. I'm being incentivized for that now, and I'm going to give that control to Eden+Fractal here for this group. So if for some reason after 3 months, one of two things happened within the 3 months, after 3 months or at the 3-month period, when the next election, if I wasn't elected to a level 1, then the editorial control of this group would drop. Or if at any time this group decides they don't want to be it, of course I can't force a decentralized entity to do anything, then it would stop at that point. But the website will continue as long as I'm interested in EOS. The only thing will change is who is the editor, who has the final say on the editing. And that's what we're talking about today. So Lenny, thank you for that great question. I appreciate that. That was a great question. So that's my proposal, gentlemen. I hope you like it. I hope you see it as an opportunity to do something quite groundbreaking for society and create an example how people can be compensated and incentivized and make real contributions, concrete contributions to a decentralized group. That's also a valuable thing, is to show that, like, if you create something, if you're contributing, you're going to get compensated for it. Come join us. This is how it works. So that's it. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. And I welcome all your questions.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Dan.
Okay, sounds great. Thank you, Perry. I really appreciate it. I will pass it on. I see there's been lots of interesting comments in the chat, so we can get to. And yeah, once again, I'll just ask for anybody who has questions for Perry, please raise your hand with the Zoom emoji, and then we'll try to conduct it in orderly fashion so we can get to everybody's question. We'll first start with questions for clarification. If there are anything, or if there's anything that you're curious about how dNews works or what the proposal is about, then please ask those first. And then if you have reactions, like if you love it or you hate it or whatever else, then please save those for after. First, we'll just make sure that we all understand the proposal well. Also, I'll share in the chat 2 different links here. So one, everybody can check out dNews.zone that I shared and Patrick shared in the chat. If you scroll up a bit, and I can share that again. I'll also share in the chat too, if people want to read it either now or later. There's Perry made an announcement post where he explained a lot of this in the Eden+Fractal Telegram group. So that's shared there. He shared a few paragraphs where he read it out quite concisely. And then I also summarized Perry's proposal, because he mentioned this a little bit last week as well. So I summarized it in the show notes from the meeting from last week. And so if you click that second link, then I'll bring you to there, where it has a little bit of summary as well as a video where Perry introduced it more. But those are just some potentially helpful resources. Also, just as a logistical note, in the future, we can figure out a better method to share the screen. Like perhaps in the future, it would have been helpful if Perry and I organized that, so we can know that I'm sharing the screen in advance, so we can run this smoother. So we are innovating and figuring out these processes as we go. I hope that my sharing the screen was helpful there. And if anybody else has any questions or wants to share it again, then feel free to let me know. But with that, I think I'll say once again, thank you to Perry, and I'll pass it on to Marco. Marco, do you have any questions about Perry's proposal?
It seems pretty clear. It took me a couple times to get into it. The one thing, I mean, it's a step forward, I think, in decentralizing news. So, along with that, I just wanted to see what his long range vision is, and not really long range, but kind of longer short term. Are you looking to make this like an official sort of thing where all news goes through it, or are you specific for the platform? I mean, either way, it's worth considering. The latter, I mean, the kind of official source, I don't know, but the news is something that has to be community focused. And this helps gets us there. But yeah, and I just wonder where your focus is. I know you only have a 3-month outlook. Yeah, are you looking to kind of ingrain this within the community, or it's kind of like an association type of thing?
I'm not exactly sure what the question is, but the current manifestation of dNews is a focus on the EOS-IO, what I call A plus AF, plus Antelope and Fractally. So I see them as one giant family. And that's kind of like the coverage that I have defined for dnews.zone itself. The technology behind it, I'm receiving offers from people to take this idea and apply it in completely different areas, having nothing to do with blockchain. I mean, I could create one that has to do with knitting or crochet or macrame, which I know nothing about, but I could create one for people who wanted to do that. So that's not what the offers are coming in for. They're quite different, but the underlying technology is completely separate. And that's not, I hope that's not what we're discussing here. What we're discussing is the editorial control of dnews.zone, which is defined as the EOS-IO Antelope plus Fractally group. The whole thing that we're talking about, that includes Dan Larimer and Fractally, that includes Eves and ENF, all the chains, Wax, Ultra, Telos, EOS, please tell me if UX, all of those chains, everyone, the whole family, that's the territory. So it's got one place to kind of keep track of the whole thing. Helios is not a chain, but it's on par with ENF and the others. So that's the idea. That's the territory. So that, I hope that answers that question.
So we're
Marco.
just in a approval check mark, right?
What's that? I'm
So
sorry.
we're just essentially providing an approval check mark.
What you're doing is you're providing, if you find a YouTube page where of somebody who's contributing to that community that I've just defined, then you send it, you will add that to the spreadsheet, or the group will vote on it, right? The delegates will vote on it and decide whether they want to add that particular channel or that playlist. Similarly, if you don't like something that I'm publishing there, you can blacklist it. You can say, we want to take that down. That doesn't make sense. So that's what you have the rights to, those two things, the ability to add or subtract, and that goes for events as well. So, right? Now, a super important point is that the point of dNews is not a promotional tool. It's a business intelligence tool. So we're there to keep track of what people are doing. We're not there to promote anything. For example, I don't particularly agree with EOSBs. That's not my thing. I don't think that's a positive thing for the community, but that doesn't matter. They're included on my website. And the reason is because I want to keep track of what they're doing. So it's a business intelligence tool, not a promotional tool. I hope that helps, Marco. And whoever's next, if you're satisfied, I'd like to move on to Sebastian, if that's okay.
I'll also jump in real quick here. Thank you. And I'll just make a note. I saw Shans and Vlad had their hands up too. Shans had asked if there's a place to make proposals. And so I shared the link in case anybody wants to make proposals in the future. That's in there. We make proposals in Consortium and also discuss it on Telegram and Discord. So yeah, but I'll pass on to Sebastian now.
That spreadsheet would, if you guys accept that I would put that link on the website, make it really easy to get to, and really what would happen is, hopefully, this is my idea and this is up for discussion. Hopefully you guys would decide as delegates on these calls, and then we could do one of two things. I could give any and all delegates the rights, or you guys, I can just extract it from the meeting and then put it on, and I would type it into the spreadsheet, and then I would change the website accordingly. Any of those are fine, but I think voting on chain is the most important thing. And then if you guys want to actually be the ones to have rights to that spreadsheet, no problem. So I'm open to different parts of it. At the moment, what you see when you click on the suggest link, which is in the upper right-hand corner of the desktop menu, you go to a Google form, which goes to a separate spreadsheet, which is similar to the one that you see there. So the main point is that if we agree on this, then I would provide an easy link on the website and no problem.
Okay, excellent.
Dan?
Thank you very much, Perry. Sebastian, do you still have a question?
Yeah, no, that just didn't. That just answered my question. So, thanks.
Okay, cool.
Sounds good.
Nothing I'll note too.
And this.
Go ahead, Marco.
Does it make us responsible? Are you doing this because you want to put stuff on chain, but you don't want to assume responsibility, so you're shifting it to us?
Well, okay, that's another great question. These are great questions. If you go down to the bottom of any page and you click on terms or let's start with the home page. So click on the home page of dNews and scroll near the bottom of that. You'll see a disclaimer that reads, "Hi, I'm dBot. I broadcast dNews of the EOSIO plus IF community. Follow the entire community from this website or my Twitter account as they post across multiple media platforms. Broadcast does not equal endorsement. So if you click on that link, you go to my terms and conditions, which are acting weird. Okay. You're gonna have to.
You have not shared the screen.
Currently, well, yeah, I'll share the screen and show it. Currently, seems like there's a little website issue where you have to highlight it in order to be able to see it. But once you highlight it, you can see it. Is this what you're referring to, Perry?
Yes.
Okay.
You should go ahead and refresh it now.
Okay, refreshing it. And now it looks a lot better. Cool.
Okay. You'll notice the first major item, disclaimer of endorsements. So I'll go ahead and read that. That's important. Well, I won't read. I'll read the important portion of it, but I'll paraphrase it. Basically, what it says is that it removes any responsibility, any liability from employees, officers, and members, and we have no control over the outside sites, and therefore not responsible or legally liable for the content or inclusion of any outside site. And it does not imply any endorsement of the site or any information contained by dNews, its employees, officers, or members. So anybody, and I can add to this a specific reference to a decentralized community, and I suppose I could add a specific reference to Eden+Fractal, that this is this same clause appears to them. So, but I think the risk of that for most of the content is fairly low, because it has to go through the YouTube.
Just to clarify, this is the first time it's going on chain, right?
Well, what the first. Let
me share my screen.
The first time it's going on chain, meaning what, Marco? This is the first time I've.
No, I can't be any clearer than that. This is the first time you're connecting to the blockchain with dNews, right?
Well, dNews is not connected to the blockchain. dNews is
so
not.
First of all, one of the last things we did at the end of the year was discuss how the RFP dates.
It sounds like somebody has a video playing in the background. Is that you, Perry?
That's not me.
We'll say like an announcement has gone out.
That was me. Sorry. That was me. Apologize for that.
Oh, good.
Thank you. dNews is not on the blockchain. What would be hopefully what would be on the blockchain is the vote of the delegates, of you guys, of all of us. I'm a delegate right now, so we would all vote to say we're adding this to the whitelist, and or we're taking this away from the blacklist, or using a blacklist. So whatever decisions are made to the whitelist or blacklist, those would be on chain somehow. I guess in the form of a memo. Just paste. It's real simple. Yeah, just in the form of a memo. This URL whitelist, this URL blacklist. Really is what it comes down to, because each post is essentially a URL to an RSS feed, to a feed where I get that data. So that's what's on chain. dNews itself is not on chain. dNews is a normal WordPress website. There's nothing extraordinary. There's no rocket science behind dNews. It's unique. I mean, in the combination, I'm using tools that are not conventional, and I'm using them in non-conventional ways. That is true. So that's what does make it unique. But it's not on blockchain. What would be on blockchain is our vote. Lenin. Let's see if you can do two great questions in one day.
No, just a very simple one. It does. I mean, each country has its own law. So whoever is an editor, for instance, you know, if it's deemed, like in Europe, we got the GDPR. I just asked a question in the chat. GDPR, that is the internet-related laws that rule in Europe, all of Europe. And that's a pretty complicated one. But besides that, to write in the text that, oh, no one is liable, that doesn't play out in many countries. And it's based in the United States. We have different laws around the world. So any editor by name and similarly could be prosecutable in case that something goes wrong. So it's a complicated thing. I just want to add that up. Thanks.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Would you, okay, so could that be considered when making decisions? You know, is this a controversial source? I think if you look at dNews right now, you're not going to see anything that's, you may not agree with everything, but I'm not sure if anything would get us in legal trouble.
I didn't think about that until now when you started terms off. I had never another negative opinion. The idea is great. I love it. It's beautiful, but we live in a regulated world, and et cetera, contracts and stuff. And so, I mean, I'm all for it, but you gotta really look through the legal text and GDPR and all these kind of things. I mean, we know what happened with Dan Larimer jumping, suspending the Fractally and everything for exactly the same reasons. I'm not suggesting that is applicable here, but just to, I haven't even seen your text. Maybe it's marvelous and covers all corners, but the quick show I saw, it didn't look quite enough. Thanks.
Okay, well, I would be very interested to see how it could accommodate more jurisdictions. I hadn't considered that, so that's good feedback. So that's two great questions. Thank you, Lenny.
Yeah, thank you, Lenny, as well, and thank you, Perry.
Oh, go ahead.
Yep, thanks, Perry. So we have Marco and Sebastian have their hands up, so I'll pass on in a moment. First, I'll give a little reminder of the time. So if we do want to pass this proposal, then we have about 25 more minutes to do so, unless the delegates are willing to stick around for longer. And I think all or most of the delegates are here too. I'll share the delegates on the spreadsheet too. I don't know if delegates want to, but just as a logistical note, if the delegates did want to pass it, then here is the spreadsheet and the timeline that we're working with. With that, I'll pass it on to Marco. And I think we're still in rounds for clarifications, right? So if anybody has any reactions, then please save that and allow the person, anybody else, to share questions for clarification first. Marco, do you have any questions about it?
I will respond quickly to Lenny. I would like to respond really quickly to Lenny. The difference between what Fractally is doing and what I'm doing here, I think, has more to do with money. So I appreciate that there are different laws regarding media in Europe and different jurisdictions, but I think what Dan and Fractally were concerned about mostly had to do with threats to the banking system. So that's my response to that.
Okay, thank you, Perry, for the clarification. And Marco, you have thoughts or questions?
Ask if we're still in the clarification. Otherwise, I'll pass it off to Sebastian.
Yeah, let's first see if Sebastian or Gabriel have questions for clarification first. Sebastian, do you have questions? Yes, Sebastian, go ahead.
Yes, sure. Both. So clarification-wise, it would be, is there some kind of KYC process? Like, how would that look if you want to publish articles? That would be a question.
KYC. For who?
Like who is allowed to post on dNews?
Oh, okay.
Like, is there an entry to a barrier to entry? Like,
well, okay. At the moment, it's me choosing the accounts. Now, so that's an interesting question. Are there any accounts? I certainly have not KYC'd anybody. I mean, I don't have that right. I've made judgments. You know, I look at the ENF YouTube account and I decide, is this the real ENF YouTube account? I make judgments. Is that what's being pointed to by their Twitter account? Do I believe that's the real Twitter account? So I'm making judgment calls as to what I think are valid players within the ecosystem. but there's currently no KYC at the moment. And I don't myself, I don't think that we should be doing a lot of anonymous posting. We just don't have any idea who this person is or what this entity is. I don't think that's a direction that I would want to go. And this brings up another point. If for some reason you guys decide to take this thing on a completely different direction, I have the right to say no as well. Now, if I break my commitment to that, and right, if I say no, I don't want to do it, then you guys can judge me for that. The community can judge me. Why did he do that? Well, he did that because he didn't think the direction was within the bounds. Maybe it was illegal. Maybe I felt legally threatened, or maybe you guys started putting cartoons on there, and it has nothing to do with EOSIO, and you're not treating this with respect, and it's no longer benefiting the community. So I'm no longer part of it. Everybody has the right to split. Everybody has the right to secede. I think that follows the
right. I'm just asking because the issue we had, or we didn't have this issue, but we use like this kind of tooling around it, is at EOS support we KYC our members to a certain degree. So not like they are starting to post weird things or start deleting posts of others or change links or stuff, you know, which would be very bad. But like you can see like the history of who has done what, and there's also like a proofreader. So if you write an article or something, someone has to proofread it, and then it gets published. Like, you know, just like to have this filter in it.
Yeah.
To prevent abuse.
That's not going to work. That's not going to work because dNews works 24 hours a day, every 15 minutes. While I sleep, while I swim in the pool, while I go grocery shopping, it works without me. And that's the beauty of it. And my previous business of 15 years, a document management service, which provided me income for 15 years, worked the same way. It was an online document management service before Google or Dropbox. And it was one of the first SaaS services in the world. And that thing ran 24 hours a day. And if I had to approve every client's upload, yeah, that's not going to happen. So it's not for approval. But here's the difference between EOS support and Sebastian and what dNews is that these are pre-approved sources. So what you're talking about are people just randomly coming up on the site and asking questions or posting. That's different. I'm selecting players from the ecosystem, and they all have a track record of what they're posting. So I suppose they could, like E&F could post porno tomorrow if they wanted. They could. I'm not going to say they couldn't, and it would show up on dNews. You're right. And then we would have to decide: are we going to allow E&F to post porno?
Right. That's why I asked about the KYC part. You know, because you know, obviously they are not going to do that. But I like your idea. I totally like your idea. So don't conflict that with my. Yeah, you know what I mean.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Sebastian and Perry. Yeah, it is more of an aggregator than a publisher in itself. I saw there's a few questions in the chat from Pascal. Pascal asked why not introduce fractal governance on dNews, and he asked why did Eden+Fractal need to take this editorial responsibility. I don't know if you want to elaborate on those, Pascal. I know Marco's had a lot of questions so far, so if you want to share your thoughts there first, Pascal, feel free, or if not, then I'll pass it on to, also I saw Gabriel has hands up too, so I'm curious if Gabriel has any questions as well.
Let me just briefly add one last thing to Sebastian's question and just say, think of dNews like Google News. In fact, it's very much like Google News. Google News is a scraper of news. So we're doing the kind of a similar model. We're aggregating, just like Google News aggregates the web. The only difference is mine, dNews is much more focused. It's much more focused on our community. That's really it. So when you see Google News, now maybe Google News gets sued. I'm sure Google gets sued for everything, but it's the same model. It's the same model.
Yeah, but Google is kind of the content providers have already kind of agreed to Google. dNews is coming in from.
No,
Right.
you're saying every article that shows up on Google News has an agreement with Google? I don't know about that.
It depends on the jurisdiction you're in. I mean, Google pays huge amounts of fees to the EU, just because they don't want to, censor themselves. So they just say, yep, we pay whatever it takes. We lose our lawsuits and then it gets published like Apple does. Apple it was like three years ago. I think Apple had to pay like 3 billion to the EU, and they just said, yeah, of course we're going to do it before we are going to censor ourselves, but we are not really in that position.
Yeah, but I'm not sure that we have the same. We're extending ourselves quite that far. Google News, that it could include all kinds of crazy things. Our group is relatively tame. We're calm. I don't think we're going crazy in EOSIO, right?
Yeah, sure. I know.
Yeah. We could always put on the cartoons that you mentioned before, but no, I'm just joking around. I think it makes sense if Pascal and Gabriel want to go before Marco. If that's right with you, Marco. You had your hands raised first, but they haven't spoken yet. So, Pascal, do you want to go?
Okay. Thanks, Dan. Thanks, Perry, for the project. I had a question. I wanted to find out why did you want the Eden+Fractal to take these responsibilities as editorial? It's a great project, and then I'm trying to find out, because this project can be a standalone. It can be a standalone, and if we need to govern the editorial part of it, why not use a fractal governance there? So why Eden+Fractal need to take this responsibility?
No, I didn't quite understand. Why not use a fractal governance model in dNews as a standalone project? That's a very good question. I could create a separate whole thing and do the whole thing, but I believe this is a perfect group for that. It doesn't have right now, there's no clear definition for Eden+Fractal. I mean, we all know that we're all searching for a reason of being. So I think there's a huge need in our community for some form of counterbalance to whatever fractal has the lion's share, the greater share of inflation. Because whoever has the greater share of inflation, whoever controls the money supply, has huge influence. And so I think there needs to be a counterbalance for that. And one counterbalance is that which can provide a stream of consciousness for the community. And that's what dNews is. It's like a stream of consciousness, a collective stream of consciousness for the community. And so I think that can offer a counterbalance to that power of inflation. And we're already here, we're already meeting, people are already creating awesome tools of governance. So it seems like it's a perfect match for me. It's actually a perfect match. It's very little work. It seems like for this group, it's really just a matter of deciding, you know, a whitelist or a blacklist. And there may be some weeks, maybe most weeks. I honestly don't know. It's an experiment where there's no changes. I don't know. Maybe you change things every week. Maybe you change things every month. I have no idea. All I know is that this has not been done. And it seems like such a huge step forward for society to decentralize the control of the media that is filling our brains. It's like, I can't really, it's one of the highest priorities in my mind, but that's just me. It just seems like it's, wow, it would be great. I would love to see a major publication like the New York Times or the Washington Post or CNN or Fox News or even Google News decentralize its editorial. That would be amazing. And it would be amazing if it started here. It would be amazing if it started here.
I would suggest if we want to take this responsibility as Eden+Fractal, that we make the decision using our fractal governance. So we have a model of deciding on this because it's a big issue. I love the project, but to decide to take this responsibility, I would suggest we use the fractal model that we have and then come into a consensus around it. That would be my suggestion.
Pascal, I totally agree. I hope that there's a delegate vote, and it doesn't have to be today. That's fine. Because I don't know if this proposal was to discuss it, right? So I'm happy to make a separate proposal where we actually vote. It's up to you guys. But for sure, I want the delegates to vote. I want it to be on chain to vote for. I would not accept it otherwise. If you guys just told me, yeah, Perry, let's do it, I wouldn't do it. I want it on chain. That's the whole point. That's the whole point, is that it's a decentralized on chain. So that's a great comment, question. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Pascal and Perry. And yeah, there's lots of great questions and discussions here. So it seems like it might be most fitting to also, after this meeting, to follow up with some messages in the Telegram chats and so forth. I'll also say one question CAC asked. I don't know if you want to share this, but he shared in the chat. Feel free to speak up, CAC, if you want to. But he asked, what guarantees are there that it is really going to be decentralized and you're not going to step in and change your decisions? And from what I heard Perry say before, there are no guarantees, and Perry still has power to take centralized control if he wants. Is that correct, Perry? And you're saying basically you're going to do it on the guidance of the community, but you still have the ultimate power to decide. Is that basically true?
That's a very good question. While I have committed to this relationship, I will keep dNews in harmony with the decisions of the delegates. But if I decide that you guys have gotten off track for my personal willingness to provide this service, then I, like Eden+Fractal, have the right to secede. So this, I think, is in the spirit of decentralized governance. We each have the right to secede. But while my commitment is, I commit to keeping that dNews in harmony with your decisions. So what is not going to happen is you guys adding a source that I don't like and me just saying, no, I don't like that one, I veto. I do not have veto power. I only have the power to secede. I do not have veto power. I only have the power to secede.
Thank you for the clarification and the question, CAC. One thing that perhaps I should have mentioned before is I think that we probably don't have time to get into other topics, but there are other topics that we could discuss. So if any of the delegates wish to discuss other topics, the next topic in line was Marco's proposal about potential collaborations and alignments between Eden on EOS and Eden+Fractal. So that's always an option for delegates. And in general, if anybody wants to move on to the next topic. Generally, we've been getting really deep into these topics, talking about them for the full hour, which is great. Lots of great discussions here. But we also have the power, and especially delegates, if you want to share, your thoughts, if you want to move on, then we can always do that too. With that, I'll pass it on to Marco, and I see Jorge has his hands up after that.
really wanted to hear what Gabriel had to say. And I guess we've kind of moved on to the next action point for this the next category. So I'm just going to post it. Something here. dNews itself, since it doesn't create content, is an information gathering tool. Intelligence is uniquely actionable information. If there's nothing inputted into the information, then it's just a replay, essentially. It becomes a business intelligence tool the moment Eden lends out its deliberation and consensus. So editorial responsibility does change once we take that. Now, I really like the idea of experimenting with decentralized news. And I credit Perry for bringing that up. But to recognize the difference between dNews itself is an business intelligence. It's not, I guess it's not suable because it's not providing an opinion or something like that. But once we do, it now becomes an intelligence tool. There is a big difference between an information gathering tool or an information and an intelligence tool.
Okay, I'm not sure I know the difference or how much. I'm not
The
sure.
change in information. If there's a change in information, you can classify it as intelligence. When you're reprinting it, it's not. As a tool, information tools are generally classified as intelligence tools, but it's not really directly. So it wouldn't be considered part of any legal since nothing is really changing. Somebody else can develop the same tool and do the same search. And since there's nothing added to it, it's the same thing. But if there was something added to it, like say, Eden consensus, now suddenly that's not something that can be replicated without Eden. That's the difference between intelligence and information gathering.
I'm not really sure how that impacts, but okay. Yeah.
It impacts us directly. Now, the presentation becomes different. Now, instead of one person or the original writer, now you have the opinion of this group. And again, I like the idea of decentralizing the news, but it does now have an intellectual weight of not just the person who wrote it or the presentation format, but now it has the intellectual weight of here.
You're saying that what we're doing is we're adding the content control, the editorial role.
By your spreadsheet, yeah. The blacklist, yeah. I mean, that's the intelligence.
I think that's clear. I think you've restated, it sounds like you restated what I'm presenting, and that's good. But I'm not sure if that's anything is different, but I'm not getting it. What's different?
All right, perhaps we should see what Jorge thinks, and I'll come back to Marco, unless you want to try to clarify that, Marco. But I just, it's also, there's only 4 minutes left, so I want to make sure we can respect everybody's time and be able to get to everybody who has questions as well.
Thank you. Well, it's a technical question for Perry. How many man hours are invested in this dNews site? One, and second, how many man hours would you have to invest now using the ChatGPT technology? If you could just ask the AI to create certain code that does certain thing and help you on doing that.
I've played with ChatGPT, and I haven't asked it to write any code for me, but I've read a little bit about it, and you have to really define it very well in exactly what you want. I don't know if it could spin up an entire WordPress site. Maybe it could. I don't know. Maybe it could. I have put in quite a few hours in it, even before I decided to point it towards EOS. I put in quite a number of hours just and used other components and threw them away, and used this and threw that away. And so I went through quite a bit because I really felt this was kind of a significant, really what I was after is something that would save me time. I was going crazy with all the time trying to keep up with everybody in the community. So I said, gee, if I could make this thing, all I would have to do is just wake up and check my site and it's all there. And I don't have to go to each individual website. And wow, so I made it to save time for myself. I don't know how long it would take to recreate it. I have no idea. But I imagine there will be other people that will do that. And in the end, that's kind of what we want. We want this to spread. We want other people to number one, replicate the decentralized decision-making part of it. And then if they want to replicate the auto aggregating, just like Google News has done, that's fine too. You know, let's let it spread. Let's let this decentralized concept grow. Now, I'm not going to hand a copy of it to a competitor. I'm not going to do that. And am I going to sell different instances that are pointed to different topic areas? Yes, I am doing that. I am doing that. That is what is happening right now. But for this copy pointed to dNews, this is how I'm being compensated as a level 1, and this is what I would like to. This is what I would like my next step to be for this particular one. The ones that I'm selling, the other ones that I'm selling, are not decentralized. They could be if they wanted to do that. They're not. They want to control the content. Does that answer your question, Jorge?
Well, certainly not, because I like to know the percentage difference between doing it, replicating the site from zero, using current technologies. But that set aside, I would like to highlight the relevance of this subject. One of the very deep conclusions I've come to realize after so many years of thinking about the world is that one of the purest, maybe the purest form of energy, and I'm talking here about physical energy, the one that you measure in joules. One of the purest forms of physical energy is consciousness. Everything we see around ourselves was first, before coming to fruition in the atomic world, it existed in the thought world. And whoever has power of the ideas and over the information and over the minds has power of the world. And that's what we see every day with the media outlets. They can depose presidents and corporations in a matter of days, just by leading the minds of the people. So this is very, very important. I really appreciate Perry's work. I'm not saying that we do accept his proposal, but I'm really glad that we are touching upon this subject.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Jorge, too. I'm also, I'll say I'm really appreciative of Perry for sharing this proposal with us and sharing all the work that he's been doing on dNews as well. I'm really excited about it. I have several more questions that came to mind and that have been inspired throughout hearing everybody's discussions here. So thanks everybody as well for all the great thoughts and feedback and so forth. And I'm looking forward to discussing this more, potential integrations with dNews and Eden+Fractal in the future. It's been, it's past the hour of the Contenders game now too. So we've been here for over 2 hours. I'd be happy to hear more, but we should also perhaps think about starting to wrap it up too. Does anybody else have any other comments or questions or thoughts about Perry's proposal with dNews, or should we save them for asynchronous or for future chats? Or does anybody else have anything else you'd like to share while everybody's still here?
If there isn't, I see a question from CAC, and I don't know if you caught my answer to that. Was that question posed after or before that I answered it?
That was from CAC. I was reading it out loud. If CAC wants to clarify or ask it again, then feel free, of course, I would be welcome. But that was me reading out CAC's question, and then you answered it, so I assume that he heard it.
Okay, all right, very good.
I hear everything.
Yeah,
He
okay.
hears everything. There you go.
Okay.
Vlad also wrote not harmful, hence I approve. That's another thing too. So I hadn't really thought about potential legal implications, so I'm thankful that people brought it up. But to me, it seems that there isn't a harm involved, because Perry is ultimately the owner of the software and the owner of, I suppose, the server or any parts that are building it. And it seems that the agreement that Perry is looking for here would be more that basically the Eden+Fractal community would provide recommendations or signals that he could choose to honor, respect, and act in accordance with. And it seems like Perry wants to act in accordance with it for at least the next 3 months and so forth. But it seems like, I'm not sure, I'm interested in learning more, and I'm thankful people brought it up, but it seems like there's not harm in it and the legal concerns aren't there. But that's just some thoughts. I have more thoughts to share too. I see Tadas and Marco have their hands up. I'll pass it to Tadas first because we've heard a lot from Marco. I'm very interested in hearing what you think, Marco, but we haven't heard from Tadas yet, so I'll pass it to Tadas first.
Yeah, so here is some ideas about how this could harm Eden+Fractal. Yeah, so first of all, it's another responsibility. If we take up this responsibility, and currently, as the proposal currently stands, it seems that delegate consensus would be needed to make editorial changes, choose publishing sources, and that means it will take up our time doing these main room sessions. And maybe generally I think it's a great idea for some kind of Fractal to have editorial control. It's the general idea is great that to decentralize editorial control, but if we have to ask ourselves if we want for Eden+Fractal to perform this function, because look, if we go down this road and then after 3 months Perry does not become a delegate and we lose our power rights to do this. And when we basically spend a couple of months developing processes to make editorial changes, and now we basically lost what was becoming one of our main functions, for example. Just a scenario that could happen. Another thing is another way to look at his proposal is the way it is phrased. It seems like he's asking for payment for this right, for us to have this editorial power, because if we consider Eden and Eden+Fractal the same community, then Eden will have to elect him as a delegate for us to still have this power. And yeah, so this I would consider some of the weaknesses. And another thing is, one of the Perry's arguments is that we need a counterbalance for inflation. We need to counterbalance information control from power of inflation. But as the proposal currently stands, it seems like it depends on inflation for us to have this control. So,
well, that's a very good point, Vlad. And I appreciate your other points as well. I think ultimately that a small portion, and this is not going to take a lot, but a small portion of inflation should be directed to a separate party, in the same way that ENF receives inflation now. The entity that manages the media assets for the ecosystem should also receive direct inflation. Now, of course, that's not in place, but I believe that is the superior design of the ecosystem in general. And yeah, at some point, depending on how this goes, that might be a future suggestion for me, is that this group received funding for providing this function for the ecosystem on the basis of it as a counterbalance to power that controls the purse, the inflation. So thank you for those questions, and comments.
Yeah, very interesting. I will definitely look deeper into it and message you on Telegram. Sounds sounded ironic.
Okay, all right, that's fine.
Polemic.
I am a shield for the global elites. Okay, you gotta follow up on that. You gotta follow up on that. Come on, tell me how. Tell me how. What am I doing? Tell me what am I doing? Oh my God. Oh my God.
I like your idea. That's not the point.
No, I'm talking to CAC. He made a comment. He says Perry's a shield for the global elitists. Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
All right,
Okay.
so I guess CAC isn't adding on to that. Of course, feel free, and curious to hear what you mean. There's also some other interesting messages in the chat too. Lenny said, the proposal says, I would like to extend editorial control to Eden+Fractal. The editor is responsible for content and more. So I think that it might be helpful to word that differently, because I could see what Lenny's talking about there as far as responsibility with the word control, but I don't know if that's what Lenny meant, but that's something that I might advise for a future proposal to be careful in how it's worded. And then Vlad also wrote, won't take a token holders won't vote for those proposals, and if the token holders want to focus on that, and so be it. Yeah, I think that was related to what Tadas was saying before about taking time, and Tadas made a good point. We do have limited capacity to make decisions. It takes us a full hour to make some decisions, so it might be potentially too early to make a decision like this too, because we can only make so many decisions at once. But just an idea. I see Eric has his hands up. I haven't heard from Eric at all, and I'm very interested to hear from Eric. But I know Marco's had his hands up for a while too. So I think first we'll go with Marco. Unless I think first we'll go with Marco.
I wrote it down. Go ahead, Eric.
Okay, cool. Thanks, Marco. Eric. I was going to, sorry, Eric, I was going to respond to Jorge's question because we are over time. Jorge asked, so can we keep asking questions indefinitely? I mean, we can play it by ear. Basically, the scheduled hour for the Agendas game discussing this is over. So we wouldn't be able to pass proposals at this point, but we can keep an open discussion if you all want. We can also start wrapping it up whenever the community wants to, because we have been here for a while, but there are several, insightful questions and stuff. So I'm interested to hear from Eric thinks. So basically, feel free to ask some questions now if you want, or let us know if you think we should wrap it up. Thanks for the question, Jorge. And sorry to interrupt you, Eric. Please go ahead.
Well, of course, I have lots of thoughts that are a whole nother thing on the organization purpose of the site and how to best use that capability, which is the discussion. But in general, I would not see why we would have to vote on what gets there. I think if any delegate makes a proposal, I think it probably makes more sense to approve, by negation. This one, if some delegate puts in a proposed site, it'll go unless somebody opposes it. In that case, there'd be a discussion. On the other hand, deleting things should probably be a discussion.
That's an interesting.
You don't delete it just because one person says, I don't like it. Well, that sounds like you need a discussion. So I don't know why we would need to vote on what needs to be added. If somebody has a good idea and nobody objects, that's much faster just to add that.
That's a great idea, Eric. That is fantastic. So that means we don't have to actually vote on anyone. That means all I need to do is add the email addresses of anybody here, or we just decide it. You guys just tell me, delegates, any delegate says so in this meeting, and then if there's a conflict, we vote. We only vote on conflict. Is that what you just described? And then that's even less work. I love it. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. Yeah.
If you're done, Eric, I think we have a solution, and that kind of answers part of what I was bringing up. You have a person walking through New York City shouting buy EOS or FTX or Mt. Gox or whatever, and people buy it and you take it to court, you know, you're probably gonna not pay much attention to it. But you have a professional opinion, somebody who works in blockchain, people take it a little bit more seriously. Here, since we all work or we all actively write to the blockchain, someone might argue that we're all professionals and we're coming to consensus. That's as much of an endorsement as something can be. Now, what Eric just said, I think falls under the category of curation. And I don't think we'd be liable for that. The last thing I'll say is that because we're accepting this, because if we accept this format and we do endorse stuff, rather than curate, just limiting us to curation, it's almost as if we're acknowledging the actions of Perry in other venues. But yeah, and I like the idea of curation. I think that's knowledgeable in this regard.
Oh my God. Oh, Marco, I'm so glad you said that. Wow. That's very interesting. No, I would never put that on anybody. I say a lot of shit. And I would never look at Patrick. I say a lot of shit. Hello, Patrick. I say a lot of shit. I would not in any way ever assume that
Perry, I'm not targeting you or anything. I'm saying, how does it look like? We are a group of blockchain professionals coming to consensus, and that's an endorsement. But if we're just blacklisting stuff or curating stuff, saying, no, this isn't appropriate, not offering real opinions, we're just limiting what's there. And that's the same thing with the RSS feed. I don't see a problem with it.
Okay,
But,
yeah,
no,
you're
I
not
was just bringing up the point.
not-
Someone could say, well,
you're not
you know,
endorsing me. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
someone could say, well, you hold all the power to stop it, but then someone else says, yeah, but he's not really giving much of an opinion. The opinion comes from us. So because of that, there's a certain amount of responsibility, especially as a professional. But if we're not offering opinion, we're just cutting that out, cutting things out. I don't see a problem. I don't see it tracking back to you.
But you're also adding, I mean, you have the right to add, if you want, you have the right to whitelist as well as blacklist.
Yeah, I think I'm against it. I'm thinking with Eric. I'd like to hear more what he's saying.
Well, Eric, were you suggesting that it's only blacklist or that?
No, I'm saying if somebody wants to add, post the link in there and nobody objects, it just goes. I'm saying if you want to blacklist something, if somebody tags something, then maybe you shouldn't remove something just because one person says it. But if you have more than one delegate, as so much say blacklist this, maybe it gets frozen and there's a discussion, or maybe there's a discussion first. I don't know. But there could be a whole process for blacklisting. But I think whitelisting is easy. If nobody has an objection, add it. If somebody does have objection, then you discuss it.
The one thing that I would like is that it's the delegates, the elected delegates that have that power to do the white and the blacklisting. That's the one thing. Not just anybody, specifically the delegates, the voted delegates. That means they have credit within the group. They represent the group in that way. So yeah, it's the delegates.
All right. Thanks for the clarification. And thanks again, Eric, for that suggestion too. People who are watching on YouTube couldn't see it, but there was like 3 or 4 people who gave thumbs up there, and some people said that they liked that in the chat. So thanks a lot for that suggestion. And now I see Patrick has his hands up as well. So Patrick, what do you think?
A lot of things. And to be very frankly with Perry, because I have to be frank, otherwise I cannot see me into a window. I am a delegate, seems to be, since last week, so for 4 weeks at least. That's the rule here. And I will very clear, like this, that's stated, I will vote no. And if I could vote 10 times no, I will vote 10 times no. Because I don't like at all, and I will explain why. First, this is not a DAO, and I am working with Bywire, for example. You know Bywire, Michael O'Sullivan, by the way. And I am very happy to work with something that is on-chain, IPFS. All what I am publishing on Bywire is on-chain. Now, all the videos that I am publishing into my YouTube channel are gathered by your algorithm, RSS feed. My videos are published onto dNews. I have not decided. They are published. And by the way, I want to stay independent and choose where my content has to go. And I have to be the owner of my mind and decide what I do. And for those reasons, I think I cannot vote favorable to this proposal. Know how it is now, for sure. Oh no, never. Maybe later on, if that's changed, but I see too much power into your hand. You state here many times, and you laughing also. That's things that I don't like at all. You are stating here publicly that you don't like the bees. You are stating here publicly, maybe soon, that you don't love other competitors, and you see your solution better than other one. You're stating that is a BI, business intelligence solution. That's not at all. I am working 25 years as a data scientist, believe me or not. Daily, I do cockpit, I do dashboards, I do BI, that's my job. I am a software engineer. And I am creating BI tools. BI tools, it's when you turn data and information into knowledge. Certainly not when you are gathering RSS feed. And there is plenty of solutions like that on the market. So I don't see something incredible. Yeah, the dNews.zone website is beautiful. I love the UI. I love how it is presented. But this kind of tool that's not unique, and it is not on chain. That's my main problem. And about the trust, you can say many times that we can trust you. I trust anyone. I trust only what I check and repeatedly, reliably accountable. That's why I am into the EOS ecosystem on chain, because that's the proof on chain. That's the radio station. I would really see dNews.zone connected with the blockchain. At this point, I could consider to vote yes, definitely, without any doubt. And sorry to speak like that, but I have to say the truth. And I respect you. At the same time, I have some trust problem. It seems to be that's the problem of our decade since 2017 that was stated into The Economist. The problem of the next decade is the trust. That's why we are on chain for the most of us, because we don't trust the human. Rashomon effect, problem of delivery, too much speak, too much words, and at the end, what? So I trust only when I have the chance to work many times on something. And for me, there is too much friction in what I see into the policies, into your website, because I am since day one on dNews.zone. I am one of the first that has been included. And I know how it works behind. I know exactly. I am on this platform. Thank you to make the calendar and all. I have sending you today to change the date because January 23rd, not February. So, okay. But now to take a decision, Eden+Fractal, to work with something, I would prefer to work with something that is like a DAO, where we are all the most independent, like a by-wire DAO. Don't take wrong, just taking this example because that's the only example that come into my mind. We want to be the most independent possible, and now to have all on your shoulder, maybe you will do the better, huh? I hope, but let's say we never know. So okay, I stop here. I don't want to be too much not polite, but I say exactly what I mean. I am a delegate, so for me, I will not accept at this moment this proposal.
Okay, that's fine. I appreciate your feedback. What I heard is that you have previous relationships with By-Wire and you favor them in some way, and that's fine. But you are not Eden+Fractal. You are one delegate.
Absolutely.
Right? You're one delegate, and Eden+Fractal doesn't have the limitation of having one relationship with one group. It's entirely possible that Eden+Fractal could have another relationship with By-Wire, or that you guys vote to now. Let's say By-Wire comes out with a copy of dNews, which I actually expected it a few months ago, to be honest. So it's kind of late for me. I figured they would have it months ago, but I expect it to come out in the future. And when it does come out, then this group can say, well, you know what? I think we would rather work with By-Wire and not dNews, or we may work with both. What is wrong with working with both? In fact, I'll go a step further. After this is accepted or denied or whatever, in any case, I would like to propose the idea of media asset control, which I have been suggesting in Eden members. And I've been very clear about that. I think that there needs to be some group outside of another decentralized body to control the accounts, the Telegram groups, and the Twitter accounts that make up our community. And I know that's going to ruffle a lot of feathers. That's going to disturb a lot of people, but that is a super important role. And I think it's perfect for this group. And I think it would be in addition to By-Wire, this group working with By-Wire, this grouping working with dNews. It can do it all. And I think it would, that kind of media focus that is a counterbalance to inflation, those that control inflation, is a huge raison d'etre for this group. And I know you understand that word.
Yeah, I have a question for you, Perry. Have you made one time a swarm with Jesse Jaffe, the bees?
No.
Okay, you have never made. Okay, so us into Eden+Fractal, we are doing marketing when we are doing brainstorming session, for example, and we pay for a swarm, and we have the bees retweeting and making super comments, and that's it. We love working with Jesse Jaffe also. So I appreciate Jesse Jaffe. I work with him since September last year. I am interviewing him with Dancing Joy. He's a fantastic guy and all. So I have a little problem. When someone is coming here into Eden+Fractal publicly, defending his solution, and at the same time speaking about someone else and stating that possibly Jesse Jaffe, the bees are manipulated. I was seeing one time an article from you stating that indeed that all manipulated the tweets, the bees. There is a FOMO that you have put the name on that. I don't remember the exactly name. Sun something. Okay, so I have a problem. With that. Because I respect the work. I respect the work of the people, and I think everyone has his solution. And that's not fair to say that. Tomorrow that will be vous.
You're conflating your personal
Michael,
opinion about
or
me.
maybe me, or someone else.
Patrick, you're conflating.
I am not okay with that.
About me with regard to this. Those are very different. And here's the difference between what you've just said about me. You've conflated me with my personal opinion. And on the opposite, what I have done is I've said, I do not agree with EOSBs, yet they are included in dNews. So what we've both done is exactly the opposite. And mine, I think, is being fair. And I think what you've done is not.
I think when you have never used one time the swarm technology, you have stated just 1 minute now or
Well,
10
it's not,
seconds.
I'm not judging.
You have never
the
used
technology.
and you
Patrick,
criticize.
allow me to respond, please.
So-
I am not telling you that that Jesse Jaxie or the EOSBs is bad technology. What I'm telling you is that the entire world is getting away from this false consensus, this astroturf form of social media, and that's exactly what's happening on Twitter. Elon is getting rid of that type of behavior, and I think that behavior leads to pumps and dumps. I don't think it's good for cryptocurrency, and I've been very clear about that. Absolutely, but that's very different. That's very different from me censoring them from what I consider a business intelligence service. I have not censored them, so that's important. I've not censored them.
I have just interviewed Jesse Jaffe for the anti-lock Swiss workshop. I just stating, I have interviewed Jesse Jaffe for the, how many times I have interviewed him, I don't remember, a lot of time. And this is released on January 23rd. You will see the episode, that's enjoy also. We have interviewed Jesse Jaffe together. He's doing a fantastic job. He wants to do the things very independent. So you come and you state there is a lot of elites and all, and okay, I agree, there is a lot of elites, but I don't put the solution of the EOSBs in that, like I don't put the other solution of the network, like EOS support, like other one. So we want to do the things very independent. So if dNews.zone is solving all, vote for yes. For me, for the moment, I cannot agree on, for the reason that I stated for now. We have to look deeper for sure, but for me, I have already looked. So now for another delegate, maybe we'll have other reason and we'll say, yes, I am not the only one into Eden+Fractal, but I am not moving on this proposal. Okay.
Well, I appreciate your vote, but I will say that I am the one that's acting with independence. I'm trying to keep my personal opinions separate from my work and my contributions. And I think I've demonstrated that, and you could clearly see it by looking at my work.
I hope for you. Okay, so thank you guys. I just want that we move on, so I stop here.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you, Patrick and Perry, for the discussion. And yeah, I do think it is probably best to wrap it up. A lot of us have been here for 3 hours now, so we don't want to keep people too long and be respectful of everybody's time. But yeah, I appreciate your discussion there. I really appreciate everybody's discussion. There's also some interesting messages in the chat too. Generally, I won't sum up too much, but Pascal said, let's take some time to look into it and make a decision using fractal governance, talk about how we have tools to make these decisions. Suggesting it could be helpful for dNews to have its own governance model. So lots of different things we can discuss. Lenny also said good suggestions. We'll certainly look at it further and think about the future of the framework and legal side. He had to go, Tadas had to go, but generally people said good discussion, great discussion. And I'm excited about the idea of decentralizing media with democratic systems like we're doing here with Eden+Fractal and Empowering Communities. So I'm grateful for Perry for sharing this proposal and doing all the work on dNews for us. And I'm grateful for everyone, for Patrick and for everybody for sharing feedback, because we also want to make sure that if we do start using this or anything like that, then we want to be careful. So everybody's provided really great feedback and insights. So thank you everybody so much. I recommend if anybody wants to discuss this more, I encourage everybody to discuss it more. Lots of discussions that we can keep going on here to keep continue on in the Eden+Fractal Telegram chat. There's also the Discord too, but lately the Eden+Fractal Telegram chat has been more active. So I'll share the link here. I'll also share the link to Perry's 2 posts that he made about it with the spreadsheet and the original proposal as well. So you can click on those and you can reread Perry's proposal. In addition to, you can watch this video when I'll release it later this week with timestamps and show notes. So you can review the video, you can review Perry's posts, and then you can comment you can PM, or you can, I encourage you to share it in the Telegram group, in the Eden+Fractal Telegram group, so everybody else can see what's going on too. I saw CAC had a question about how .zone came to be as a name. So I don't know if Perry wants to answer that really quickly, or we could save that for another time. I've been curious about that for a while too. And then also I'll share in the chat too, just once again, if you want to catch up with last week's news with Eden+Fractal and the brainstorming sessions and everything that happened last week, then I'll share some links to the recaps from Lenny and the show notes and the brainstorming session. And then once again, remind people too, if you want to make proposals for next week, to do so on Consortium before the next meeting, and the Kajanis game we're playing, we can discuss topics that the community proposes and votes on. So I encourage everybody to check out Consortium, vote on topics that you want to discuss, and also make topic proposals if you want to. Yeah, once again, thank you. I don't know if Perry, you want to close it out or start, just briefly answer CAC's question about where you got the .zone name, or if anybody else wants to share any final thoughts.
When I chose it, and it still applies, as a possibility. I'm not really spending too much time on it, but I envisioned a domain with a bunch of subdomains that viewed the entire cryptocurrency in different zones. For example, different protocols. So each protocol becomes its own zone. So EOS.dnews.zone, ETH.dnews.zone, and so on and so forth. So that could still happen. So that was one possibility. And I really, really want to thank you guys for the opportunity to express myself. This is really a satisfying, regardless of how it turns out, it's just very wonderful that this is even happening. I can't express how deeply appreciative I am that we're engaging in this kind of behavior. So thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Perry.
We
I'm
can
very
wrap it
appreciative
up.
of it too. I think so. I saw Vlad gave a heart there. If anybody else has any quick last words, then feel free to share here. But otherwise, perhaps we should wrap it up with like maybe a 3, 2, 1, go Eden, perhaps.
Yeah, and before that, I want just to tell to
Jorge,
Perry.
you muted, by the way. You said something, but I didn't hear it.
Oh, Perry, sorry, Jorge, go ahead if you want to share something.
Yeah, I want to propose that instead of saying go Eden, let's push a go Eden, yeah, baby.
First, that's not go Eden.
I like it.
Second, that's not go Eden. That's go Eden+Fractal. That's not the same. And for the yeah baby, you can wait. For the yeah baby, you can wait. But before that, I want just to say to Perry. I want to say to you what I have stated just a couple minutes ago. It's the truth, and what I would exactly speak, and I have the chance to say that, so I don't regret anything what I have stated. And by the way, I don't know, apologize or not, but yeah, I was stating what I think, and that's okay. I am in peace with my mind. Okay, so now we can wrap it up, and we can say at 3, 2, 1, 0, go Eden+Fractal, very short.
I have to answer you though.
There is no Minimi, there is no Dr. Reveal, there is no yeah baby for this time, because I don't want to do that.
Baby, Patrick.
And I will just finish. Eden+Fractal is going well. 2,000 EOS funded by Nova Crypto again. 16,000 EOS for Eden+Fractal by just one person, me.
Wow.
So now you are into good hands with those funds. I am not to come back anymore. I can go in holiday, do my stuff, do my projects, and I will contact you, Perry.
Oh, Eden+Fractal!
So,
yeah, baby.
I think you just answered, Patrick. I think you just answered your own question about centralization.
I will contact you, Perry, to be removed of
Guys, you're
your
over talking
platform.
yourself. This is too much over talking.
You just answered your own question.
Perry, I will contact you to be removed of your platform.
Okay,
Really?
so
Definitely. And now we
how
can
about
wrap it up.
how about we wrap it up? Perry's giving
3,
thumbs
2,
up.
1,
I think
0.
we're all ready for 3, 2, 1, 0. I'm gonna go with Go Baby too because I think that Jorge had a compelling case there. So 3, 2, 1, go Eden+Fractal.
Okay.
Yeah,
Bye,
baby. 3,
bye, and bye.
2, 1, 0. Go!
Go dnews.zone.
Yeah, baby.
And bye, dnews.zone.
cac.dnews.zone. Check it out.
That's
Yeah,
right.
parknovajoy.zone, the new god.
All right.
Bye.
See you, mate. Thanks so
Bye,
much.
guys.
See you next week. Goodbye.